Missing archaeologist discovers giant skeleton inside a cave that could rewrite human history. If you think giants are nothing more than myths from fairy tales or Hollywood scenes, then brace yourself for a journey that may upend everything you thought you knew about human history. Why do I say that? Because in the calm waters of Malaysia, where gentle waves lap against the shores of Pulau Upeh, a seemingly ordinary island, a secret is hidden that could change the way we understand humanity. Recently, an unprecedented archaeological discovery was announced, shaking not only the academic world but also stirring excitement among history enthusiasts everywhere. Historian and archaeologist Mohd Fuad Khusari M said, who had mysteriously gone missing for a short period, suddenly reappeared, bringing with him a shocking revelation. He had discovered a giant human skeleton inside a cave on Pulau Upeh, Malaysia. These were not mere bone fragments or vague traces that invite skepticism. Fuad found a skull and long bones estimated to belong to a human standing between 10 to 16 feet tall, a height far beyond any known model of modern human beings. Even more astonishing, just about 0.75 miles from the cave, he discovered two unusually large graves, each measuring about 16 feet long and 1.6 feet wide. Yes, you heard that right. 10 to 16 feet tall. That's not the stature of a legendary basketball player, but of a being that may have once belonged to a race of giants who walked the earth. Fuad didn't jump to conclusions. He based his initial assessments on the proportions of the skull and long bones. Even more fascinating, he referenced numerous historical records from ancient civilizations, particularly the Maya, that documented the existence of giant people. To top it off, he cited a newspaper article from 1871 that mentioned the discovery of 200 human skeletons of unusually large size found in Ontario, Canada. Scattered traces from around the world now seem to be coming together to tell a larger story, a hidden piece of humanity's past. Yet, not everyone is quick to accept these findings. Mohd Jamil Mukmin, chairman of the Institute for Historical and Patriotic Studies of Malaysia, urges caution. He argues that the size of a grave does not necessarily reflect the actual height of the person buried. In many cultures, oversized graves are often built as a sign of respect for the deceased. Yes, that makes sense. But can we really reduce the entire discovery to just a cultural tradition? That's a tough question, because the two graves have yet to be excavated. This means the truth is still lying dormant beneath the surface, waiting to be unearthed, waiting for a curious hand and an open mind to embrace it. And you know, in the world of archaeology, every bone, every stone, every trace could be the key to unlocking a new chapter of history. So, is this truly evidence that giants once existed? Or is it merely an illusion, born of nature and imagination? To find the answer, we must look beyond the boundaries of conventional knowledge. This isn't the first time humanity has faced discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew. From the massive statues on Easter Island, the giant fossilized footprints in South Africa, to the ancient scriptures of the Bible, Indian epics, and Norse mythology, the image of giants has always loomed large, like a collective memory buried beneath the sands of time. So what is it that caused every ancient civilization to record them? Could there be an ancient truth we have yet to comprehend? Now, as Pulau Upeh begins to reveal its earth-shaking secrets, we may be closer than ever to uncovering the truth about a race of giants that once walked alongside our ancestors. This story of the giant skeleton is only the beginning. Behind it lies a chain of discoveries, forgotten or perhaps deliberately hidden, from massive remains in Peru to mysterious ruins in Egypt still unexplained, and even fossilized skeletons over 13 feet tall in the United States, mentioned in old scientific reports but later mysteriously disappeared from public records. Join me as we open the door to these clues, the missing pieces that could prove giants were not just legend, but a part of our human history. The giant human skeletons of the Nevada desert. Every land humanity has ever set foot on carries with it a strange kind of memory, sometimes in the form of archaeological remains, other times in legends, and occasionally in things that defy imagination. But few places are as steeped in mystery as the Nevada desert, where the earth has quietly guarded a secret that remains largely unsolved for over a century. Amidst the scorching sun and howling winds sweeping across the barren valley lies a solitary cave known as Lovelock Cave, nestled deep within an isolated mountain. But don't let its unassuming appearance fool you. According to the oral traditions of the native Paiute tribe, this cave was once the final refuge of a race of red-haired giants, brutal and mysterious, known by the strange name Sita Ka, which roughly translates to tool eaters. If you think that's just a myth, then let the archaeological findings tell you the rest of the story. In the early 1900s, while miners were digging guano to use as fertilizer, a task seemingly unrelated to archaeology, workers accidentally uncovered strange bones buried deep within Lovelock Cave. Soon after, small-scale excavations began, and what they uncovered began to crack the foundations of conventional human history in the region. Skeletons over 8 feet tall, red hair, and countless unexplainable artifacts. Over the years, more than 10,000 artifacts were recovered, from stone tools and woven grass baskets to giant sandals seemingly made for feet of enormous size. Sadly, many of these items were lost, sold off, or even destroyed due to ignorance and neglect during the early 20th century. But what remains is still enough to baffle modern archaeology. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, red-haired people, over 8 feet tall, living in the Nevada desert? Where did they come from? And why were they so drastically different from the Paiute or any other known people of the region? You might struggle to answer those questions, but for the native people, the answer has existed in their oral traditions for generations. According to the Paiute legend, the Siteka were not only gigantic, but also cruel. They didn't live in harmony with other tribes. Instead, they were said to kidnap, hunt, and even eat humans, spreading fear throughout the area near Lake Humboldt. The story goes that after years of terror, the tribes united and drove the Siteka into Lovelock Cave. They then set a fire at the entrance, filling the cave with smoke and flames, burning the giants alive once and for all. To this day, black soot stains and charred remains on the cave ceiling seem to whisper the bloody ending of that tale. Today, Lovelock Cave has become a must-visit site for anyone fascinated by archaeology, mysterious history, or unanswered questions. Just about a 40-minute drive from the heart of Nevada, this place awaits, where the desert may be silent, but the ground still quietly calls out with secrets. The nearby Humboldt Museum still preserves many of the artifacts from the excavation, including replicas of the Siteka skeletons, remaining bone fragments, and the earliest written records from archaeologists documenting the shocking discovery. While most of the original artifacts have since been returned to the native tribes, the story has lost none of its power. What about you? Do you think Lovelock Cave is merely a myth wrapped in legend, or the surviving evidence of a chapter in human history that was deliberately buried? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The giant footprint on stone in South Africa, a scientific mystery for over 100 years. Do you believe that millions of years ago, there existed gigantic beings, taller than any human you've ever seen? If you think that's just mythology, then a shocking discovery in a remote part of South Africa might make you reconsider. The story begins in 1912, when a hunter named Stoffel Coetzee was trekking across the rugged stone hills of eastern Transvaal, now known as Mpumalanga, a region the Swazi people call the land where the sun rises. While tracking prey, he stumbled upon something no one could have expected, a giant footprint, nearly 4 feet long, embedded deeply into solid granite rock. Sounds like an ancient legend, but this is a physical, real object, still visible today. From the moment it was discovered, the footprint sparked controversy. Some believed it was a clever hoax. Perhaps someone had carved it into the rock to fool the gullible. Others thought it might be a natural formation, created by erosion over millions of years that just happened to resemble a footprint. But the story doesn't end there. What truly stunned researchers wasn't just the enormous size of the footprint, it was the type of rock it's imprinted on. Granite, one of the hardest materials on Earth. We're talking about a rock formation called the Mpuluzi batholith, which geologists estimate to be about 3.1 billion years old. Yes, not 300 million, 3.1 billion years, dating back to a time long before any human life as we know it existed on Earth. A footprint measuring nearly 4 feet long, deeply set and clearly defined, on a surface made of a rock nearly as hard as steel, second only to diamond, corundum, and topaz in hardness. If someone tried to create such a mark by hand or with any human-made tool, it would be virtually impossible. This leads to the mind-bending question that has left scientists scratching their heads. Who or what left that footprint? Michael Tellinger, a South African scientist and explorer, is one of the most vocal proponents of a bold theory. He believes this footprint is evidence that giants truly once walked the Earth, perhaps even billions of years ago, during a time when, according to modern science, complex life hadn't yet evolved. If that's true, then everything we thought we knew about evolution and the timeline of life on Earth could be drastically flawed. Tellinger doesn't rely solely on speculation. He cites three critical factors that make it nearly impossible for this footprint to be a man-made hoax. Location. The footprint lies in an extremely remote area, rarely visited. Even today, it's not easy to access. Age of the granite, estimated at over 3 billion years old, far older than any known human civilization. The idea that someone could have carved into such ancient, tough rock, let alone create something so massive, is nearly unthinkable. Physical properties of granite, creating a footprint of that depth and precision would require an immense force or a creature of extraordinary weight, far beyond the capacity of any modern human. So what is this? A true footprint of a giant? Or are we being deceived by a trick of nature? The answer remains hidden in the shadows. Geologists continue to debate, and archaeologists remain hesitant. But one thing is undeniable. The footprint is still there, silently defying everything we think we know about human history and Earth's past. To this day, no one has provided a definitive, scientifically agreed-upon explanation. And that makes this giant footprint one of the most controversial archaeological enigmas of the century. The 200,000-year-old giant's axe in the Arabian desert. As the sun began to set over the barren sands of Kur, a desolate stretch in southern Alula, Saudi Arabia, an archaeology team was preparing to wrap up another grueling day under the scorching desert heat. Their final steps seemed routine, packing up tools, brushing sand off their boots, jotting down a few notes, until fate, in the last fleeting moments of daylight, called out to them in silence. Emerging from the dune's surface was an unusual object, glinting faintly with a cool gray shimmer, a stark contrast against the blistering red sands. It wasn't a mirage. It was real. A massive stone axe, lying on the ground as if it had just been placed there. Intact, razor-sharp, and heavy with the weight of time. No one said a word, because this was no ordinary tool. Measuring an astonishing 20.2 inches in length and nearly 4 inches in width, this axe seemed to carry a message from a distant past, a message from a lost civilization or a race that has long since vanished from human memory. Upon analysis, archaeologists confirmed that the axe was made from basalt, a highly durable and dense volcanic rock. Based on its size, craftsmanship, and material, researchers believe this may be the largest stone axe ever discovered anywhere on Earth, making it an unprecedented archaeological enigma. How, during an age when early humans were still learning to coexist with nature, could someone have created such a massive, perfectly shaped tool? Both sides of the axe were expertly sharpened, clearly indicating it was purpose-built, for cutting wood, processing meat, or even for hunting. Despite its enormous size, its balanced design suggests it could have been wielded with 2 hands. By now, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. This axe looks like it was made for a giant. But the question remains, who made it? Archaeologist Omar Khan Aksoy, the lead on the excavation project, explained that while the axe has not yet undergone absolute radiometric dating, surrounding artifacts suggest it could date back as far as 200,000 years. Even more intriguing, this axe wasn't alone. After unearthing this starting treasure, the team continued digging and found 13 more stone axes nearby. Although slightly smaller, they followed the same design, implying this wasn't just a random find, but potentially the site of a tool-making center or an ancient settlement. One compelling theory being seriously considered is the presence of Homo erectus, an extinct human ancestor that emerged around 1.7 million years ago. Believed to be the first hominins to walk upright and manufacture tools, their technological abilities marked a turning point in human evolution. And if this giant axe truly was created by Homo erectus, it could be evidence that early humans possessed a level of technological skill far beyond what we've imagined. There's also the tantalizing possibility that around 200,000 years ago, This region may have been a crossroads for multiple hominin species, early Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, and possibly even unknown human types yet to be identified. Now, the archaeological community stands at a crossroads. Do we accept this as a remarkable outlier from our Homo sapiens ancestors? Or does this discovery open the door to the controversial theory of an unknown race of giants, beings with larger frames, advanced intelligence, and dominion over these wild lands before history erased them? While many theories circulate, no one can yet say with certainty who the creators were. That's why the excavation team has announced a follow-up dig scheduled for later this year in hopes of uncovering more tools, skeletal remains, or traces of habitation that might reveal the identity of those who wielded these axes. As you can see, from one massive axe lying in the dunes, we're now forced to re-examine our ideas about evolution, prehistoric intelligence, and the potential existence of giant human ancestors. Could it be that we are not the only species to have once stood tall on this earth? And perhaps this axe, buried in the sands of the Arabian desert, is only the first warning whisper from the forgotten past. The Land of Giants, Jotunheim. There is a realm blanketed in eternal ice where towering mountain ranges seem to pierce the sky, dense forests stand enshrouded in darkness, and the wind howls like ancient spirits lingering within a cold mist. This is Jotunheim, the mysterious land of giants in Norse mythology. But does this land truly exist? And why did even the gods tremble when they dared to tread upon it? Jotunheim, also known as the Land of the Giants, lies between two worlds: Asgard, home of the mighty gods, and Midgard, the world of humans. Yet unlike the peace and order of other realms, Jotunheim appears savage and fraught with peril. In this frozen frontier dwell the Jotnar, giants who have roamed since ancient times. They are more than mere beings of colossal size. In Norse lore, Jotnar represent raw elemental power, unstoppable forces of nature, and, sometimes, surpassing intelligence. They hunted among icebound forests, seeking life in what appears lifeless, and they obeyed their own laws, completely separate from gods or humans. If you've heard of Loki, you know he was not only a cunning god, but also a giant by birth in Jotunheim. And it was Odin, leader of the gods, who adopted Loki and brought him to Asgard. Yet despite divine status, Loki always carried the rebellious bloodline and strange ties to his giant homeland. Conflicts, conspiracies, and cosmic upheavals have repeatedly stemmed from that icy realm. But if there is one greatest mystery in Jotunheim, it is Mimir's Well. Can you imagine what lies deep beneath Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree connecting the 9 worlds in Norse myth? Not gold or treasure, but a sacred well believed to contain the eternal wisdom of the universe. Mimir, the giant guardian of that well, embodies ancient knowledge itself. It is said that whoever drinks from Mimir's well gains extraordinary insight, understanding the secrets of time, fate, and the cosmic order. And so Odin, thirsting to comprehend all, sought out the well. Yet, as with all extraordinary power, wisdom demanded a price. When Odin asked to drink, Mimir agreed, but required a harsh tribute. Odin had to sacrifice one of his eyes. Would you trade part of yourself for absolute knowledge? That is no easy decision, even for a god. But Odin did not hesitate. He gouged out his eye, gaining in return a vision that pierced through past, present, and future. Thus, one-eyed Odin became the god of wisdom and prophecy, his insight unmatched by any being. This legend is more than myth. It is a profound metaphor about sacrifice, the cost of enlightenment, and the courage to access truth. It asks, are you willing to give up a part of yourself to truly understand the world around you? Returning to Jotunheim, the land still shrouded in the mist of history, many mysteries remain unsolved. Legends of giants, the enigma of Mimir's Well, the ties between Loki and his ancestral land, these continue to fuel the pursuits of archaeologists and mythologists. Today, though preserved only in ancient texts and scattered runic inscriptions across Scandinavia, Jotunheim lives on in our imagination. It symbolizes what humanity has yet to know, and our enduring thirst to explore it. So, what do you think? Is Jotunheim really a land of monsters, or a keeper of forgotten wisdom beyond our reach? As you've seen, evidence of giants appears not only in myths, but also in intriguing archaeological findings. Sites with giant footprints, unusually large fossil remains, and massive tools have left researchers with many unanswered questions. Ancient cultures around the world have shared stories of giants. While no definitive proof exists yet, these discoveries open new possibilities about the human past. And you? What do you believe about the existence of giants? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss further. For now, goodbye, and until next time.